Super Troopers 3. Alan, why don't you tell me about this? You actually went to the premiere,
The world premiere,
the world
because I'm
premiere
part
at
of the Access Media.
You were there at San Diego Comic-Con. Last night, I went to the special fan screening with a live streamed Q&A from the Grove. I actually filmed it for our channel for members only. Check it out, the Q&A. But Alan, tell me about Super Troopers 3.
Okay, so full disclosure here, I have never seen Super Troopers or Super Troopers 2.
You need
So and I'm not that familiar with Broken Lizard. I've seen I've seen them in the media, but I've never watched any of their movies. So this is Super Troopers 3 is my first Broken Lizard film. So if I get names and ideas wrong, that's why. But our favorite Farva rescues a woman, Sarita, who happens to be the sister of Thorny. She gets into a car accident, and Farva, being the cop that he is there on the scene, and he rescues her. And when he rescues her, the two fall madly in love to the point where almost instantly they decide to get married. And Thorny, of course, doesn't want Farva as his brother-in-law, so he goes on a mission to break up this marriage. The best way he can think of doing that is simple: have Farva meet his parents, his very conservative Indian parents, and that's what happens. They have a dinner together, and lo and behold, Farva comes dressed to the nines and impresses the hell out of his parents to where they give his blessing, and so that is the main through line of this movie. It's Thorny trying to stop the marriage of Farva. Of course, there are other things going on in the film. There's a new rookie on board, played by Andrew Dismukes, who is star of a award-winning film. There's also other things going on in town, other side stories. Nat Faxon is the new captain after Brian Cox's character retires. There's a whole storyline there. You know, I would guess that this is a fairly typical Super Troopers film. It's just three basic plot lines woven together, one skit after the other. A lot of silliness, a lot of gross humor, a lot of childlike schoolboy humor going on here. But I will sum up this movie with the iconic line from Thorny's mother, who says, "I like racial humor." And I really like this movie because it had a lot of racial humor in it. I think the theme today is I like movies that shouldn't be made. This is a movie that shouldn't have been made, and I'm all for it.
Well,
I laughed. I had fun.
it's really I am familiar with Broken Lizard, and it's really about the rivalries between the cops. I love that they lean into all the racial humor, and that is, of course, due in no small part to Jay. I'm gonna mispronounce his name, Jay Chandrasekhar.
That's close. Yeah.
Yes, Chase Crawford is in it too, as he's a syrup runner. Kevin Heffernan plays Farva. He's one of my favorites. Look, it's not the best of these Super Trooper movies. I think the main reason is that a lot of the humor from previous Super Troopers movies was all based around weed, and weed is legal. So what do you do when weed is illegal? How do you make a comedy like that?
Well, you make it racial. That's how you
exactly. So all of that went away. I'm a bigger fan of Beer Fest. I think is their best film for me. I wish they had done Beer Fest 2. One of the funniest jokes I've seen that I don't want to ruin. Beer Fest is so good. So I'm really lukewarm on Super Troopers, knowing their past work. Is it, I like seeing those characters on screen again. It just didn't land for me as much. I do. I mean, there is, and by the way, there is nudity in it. There's a bachelor party scene where they hire strippers that end up having sex with the dad who pays for it in the end. But, and the ending kind of was like, all right, okay, this is so dumb, I'm laughing. There's like a nod to Han Solo frozen in carbonite. One of the characters gets frozen in like this maple syrup, just like Han Solo. And it's so dumb and farcical. You're just like, all right, I'm just bought in. But it's not as funny as their previous work. So it gets a mild recommend from me. I see you liked it a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you. The humor, watching the humor, I felt like they're older and they're not as sharp on the humor game, but it was still kind of funny. I could imagine that the first two movies are a lot funnier.
Well, you took one of the biggest sources of the jokes from their films off the table. Weed.
Yeah.
You know, weed is like gone. And so what do you make jokes about? And they replaced weed with maple syrup from Canada, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah, but did they lean into the racial stuff in the first two movies, or was it just the weed?
Humor about everything. Racial. Okay. This they did a lot more, but it's very light. It was funny. It wasn't cruel racial humor. It was it was fun.
I mean, I grew up watching other, Kids in the Hall, a lot of other groups that, I became fans of and watched their movies. And, as funny as Broken Lizard is, I can see why I never really watched them. I think the impression I got was they were a little bit more sophomoric compared to all the other ones I'd been watching.
Well, do you recommend it?
I do. But it's a silly, stupid movie.